Buzz Lightyear to the rescue!
The first three Toy Story movies make up one of my all-time favorite film trilogies. At just 4 years old when the original released in 1995, I was at just the right age to grow up alongside Andy, and each of those films holds a pretty special place in my heart. So going into Toy Story 4, I was extremely nervous about whether or not this film would live up to the previous ones, especially since Toy Story 3 ended the series on a pretty flawless note, making a sequel totally unnecessary. Having just got out of the movie, I will say that overall I did quite enjoy Toy Story 4. This is an emotionally compelling film that mostly does justice to those that came before. I do think this is probably the weakest in the series, but that's not really a knock against it. I'd honestly be astounded if it wasn't. The other three Toy Stories are basically perfect as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so first, the technical stuff. Pixar's animation in this film has reached the point of absolute photorealism. We've come a long way since the first Toy Story film.
Yes, yeah, I know.
Backgrounds, textures, and mundane objects have become indistinguishable from how they appear in real life, yet somehow this never really clashes with the cartoony aesthetic of the characters. There were a lot of directorial decisions made that I liked as well. The film includes a variety of different tones that seamlessly transition between one another without ever feeling at odds. There are parts of the movie that are shot and edited like a horror film, then of course others like an action film, and at times it even approaches Looney Tunes style slapstick comedy, which I almost always appreciate.
Oh, where did you two come from?
As for the story, I was impressed by the way that Toy Story 4 manages to introduce new elements to the world that these films inhabit.
I don't belong here!
This is the first time that the series explores what it is that separates these sentient toys from just any other inanimate object, and it's primarily done through the character of Forky, an arts and crafts thing that the toy's new owner Bonnie makes in kindergarten.
Let's go save a spork.
I liked Forky a lot. His sort of existential horror at being a spork that now finds itself alive and confused by what exactly it is was a lot of fun, and the sort of parent-child relationship he has with Woody was very well done.
I am not a toy. I was made for soup, salad, maybe chili, and then the trash.
I think Forky honestly has the best arc in the film, and I really enjoy his inclusion, even if his very existence ultimately raises more questions about the nature of this world than it answers.
Woody? Why am I alive?
I also quite liked most of the other new characters, including Keanu Reeves as a Canadian daredevil toy named Duke Kaboom, and Key and Peele as a couple of plushy carnival prizes. I was afraid from some of the film's promotional material that these two were going to end up being really annoying and in way too much of the movie. They didn't really end up being that annoying though, and I actually think that they got some of the funniest lines in the film.
Is that how we look on the inside? There's so much fluff.
Little Bo Peep makes a return in Toy Story 4, having been absent during the third film, and for all intents and purposes, she's a completely different character here than she was in the first two films, where she was just kind of one of the background toys who gets a few lines here and there. I liked how this film develops her as a character and her relationship with Woody. I also enjoyed the conflict with the film's main antagonist, a vintage doll named Gabby Gabby, played by Christina Hendricks, who lives in an antique shop. At first, I was worried that the film was doing the same sort of thing with her that the last two movies did with their villains, but I was pleasantly surprised by the resolution that the character ends up getting. Most of the other returning characters, on the other hand, don't really have a whole lot to do, which I found kind of disappointing.
Hey, watch it, buddy.
While the first Toy Story focused mostly on Woody and Buzz, with the other toys just kind of running background commentary, Toy Story 2, and especially 3, did a fantastic job of incorporating the rest of the cast into the story in satisfying ways. This movie, on the other hand, doesn't seem to know what to do with any of these guys, besides just cutting back to them every now and again.
Do I need to be worried?
Well, my guys are veterans. They'll hang in there.
Even Buzz Lightyear felt like he was only involved in as much of the plot as he was because he's Buzz Lightyear, so he has to be.
You need help with that?
No, I got it.
I also felt that his character was maybe a little bit too dumbed down compared to the last couple movies. Buzz has never been particularly bright, but there was a running gag in this movie with him that seemed a little bit out of character to me. Not that I didn't like Buzz in the film, far from it. It was all great material that I thoroughly enjoyed. It just kind of seemed a tad off.
What would Woody do?
Jump out of a moving vehicle?
Let's go!
However, I didn't particularly care for how this film ends. Without getting into any spoilers, I will say to the writer's credit, the way that the story resolves itself is a big risk for the franchise, and I do respect the willingness to go in the direction that they went. It also makes logical sense for the story that the film is telling and for the characters involved. That stuff is all fine, but what bothered me about it is that this ending seems to me to run completely counter to the ethos of the other three Toy Story movies, which had always been pretty consistent. I don't don't know, maybe there's another angle here I'm not seeing, or maybe I just need more time to get used to it, but it really rubbed me the wrong way, and I much preferred the way that Toy Story 3 had previously capped off the series. Let me know down in the comments whether or not you agree with me there, because it definitely seems like I'm in the minority on that opinion. Overall though, Toy Story 4 is an easy recommendation to anyone who's invested in this world or its characters. This is a fun and heartfelt film for the whole family, and its negatives are definitely outweighed by the positives. Go check it out. And if you like this video, you can help me out a ton by hitting that like button, subscribing, and ringing the bell to stay up to date on my latest videos. Let me know down in the comments any of your thoughts on the Toy Story series, and check out some of this other great stuff I've got up on the channel. As always, thanks so much to all of you guys for watching, and take care.
This is Forky.
I'm trash.